Right, okay. Here we are, week 165 in the fish room. I am just finished actually doing a water change. Right, so this week, what have I done? So I made some changes to my. I actually thought, right, first thing I did was last week on a Monday, I took a water sample for an ICP test. I sent it off Monday morning and I got the results back 5 o'clock Tuesday. So very quick turnaround, which is ideal really because I wanted to know if there was anything nasty in the tank in terms of heavy metals. Just because the tank's had a bit of a blip. I mean, I dosed hydrogen sulfide into the tank from the sulfur and nitrate reactor, which is obviously not good. Also had a temperature spike due to the aircon. This all happened while I was away on holiday. So it's been, 3 weeks now, so the tank is just settling back in by the looks of it. I chopped out some dead coral from some STN out of my big barley slimer and another coral there, I don't know what it's called. They look like they're happy, they're growing back. So I think I'm hopefully over that little blip. The Setosa has still got a kind of stripped edge on it, but it looks like that's halting, and I think it's slowly starting to grow back. So I'm hoping that that's kind of that issue over with, really. Obviously, I'll keep a closer eye on the nitrate reactor in future to make sure the drip rate is sufficient. Don't get a build up of hydrogen sulfide in it. The other thing I did this week is I changed my dosing. So I was talking to someone online who's got a coral farm and just talking about the amount they dose for their trays because they dose the same Tropic Marinating K that I dose. And I kind of worked out size of his system, size of mine, and I thought, right, well, maybe I'll up it a bit because I seem to be under. I mean, the reason I've said this in the past, I did 27 mil a day because it goes into 185 days for 5 litres, which means twice a year I got the closing. So it was done purely on a financial basis, really. But I thought, well, if I'm dosing them anyway, I should make the most of it, really. And I'll increase it and I'll see if I make, if I see any significant changes or not. If it doesn't make any difference, then I'll just drop it back to 27 and leave it there. I mean, every ICP I've ever had is LODs on 12 of the 16 traces it measures for. The only thing which is quite consistent and shows in a good range is the iodine, and I think that comes in from the nori shoots I feed every day. It's quite high in nori. Quite high in nori? Quite high. Nori is quite high in iodine. So I'd imagine that's how that stays at that level on the tank. So the other thing is it's just one of these annoying things. So if you look, no, there. So that electric box is what I had put in because I wanted this room to be completely separate from all the other electrics that I run from the house. So basically, the mains comes into my house and then it splits off. One goes to the consumer unit for the whole of the house, one goes to the EV charger for an electric car, and the other goes off to that board you're looking at in that outside box for the fish room. And as you can see, I mean it's a waterproof box, but I don't want to test it in waterfall conditions. So basically, what's happened is the downpipe's blocked. I just happened to notice it because I was standing at the window and it is absolutely pouring all over that electric box. It makes me very nervous because if that box blows, the whole of this fish room's dead. I know I've got a battery backup, but that's not the scenario I want. So it's just one of those things you just go, oh God, I've just tried to make something better and add redundancy, and then the world just goes, ah. So I've got to chop that whole downpipe out actually because it goes into a soakaway which is completely blocked. so I've got to reroute the whole thing. So it's not even a quick fix really. At the moment I've smashed some holes in the bottom so the water just drains out onto my block paving. So at least it won't all bubble up and cascade over the electric box. But yeah, it's just one of those things. You just think, wow, life's fun, isn't it? So that's that. So the tank's looking good. I'm trying to think, right, oh yeah, I've got some corals coming. I knew there was something else. Yeah, so the guy I was talking about who did the trace elements, he was going to send me, I'm not sure how many, but he gave me a list. It's quite a lot. So it's about 7 or 8, could be more actually, corals. I think they're mainly all acros. So I haven't added any livestock at all to this tank since February. So what's that, 4 months? Feels a lot longer. It's weird, isn't it? When you stop putting things in your tank, it feels like ages. It's only 4 months. So it's not a colossal amount of time. But yeah, so it'd be interesting to get some new corals in, see how we go with them. It's a mix. You know, I'm writing my coral names. If you don't give me an actual species, like a proper species, scientific species name, I don't remember. I can't remember any of them really. But yeah, so I'm looking forward to that. So they're coming from Scotland, so it's quite a long way to come. Well, a long way for the UK. If you're in the States, probably down the road really. But yeah, so I think they are due to be here next Wednesday. So they will be in the video after this one. I think that's it. No, it's not. The thing I wanted to talk about was sitting right next to it. So this is a crate. So that is a food safe plastic crate, which I spoke about months ago when I said I need to expand. Well, I don't need to, but I want to expand my sump. And I've been searching for ages to get the right type of plastic because I want a food safe plastic. It's not going to leach anything. And I wanted the right size, obviously, because it needs to fit. So most of the crates were too large that I couldn't fit them through my either the door at the end of the fish room or the smaller door down the bottom. It's the one I use 99% of the time. So yeah, I had difficulties getting the combination of the right size and the right plastic. So I've found a place. So this is 800 by 600 by 420 metric measurements, 175 litre capacity. So if you look at that video, that kind of shows where I want to put it. So I want to remove that tank that's there. That's an acrylic tank. I hate it. I don't hate the tank, but I could never have an acrylic tank. Coraline just grows on it like stonk. I just cannot keep up with the amount of coraline that grows in that tank. It's just horrendous. And I put urchins in there to try and help it, keep it at bay, but I've scratched the life out of it trying to keep that front glass clean. And yeah, I just don't like it really. So I'm going to remove that. I want it out of the way anyway, because originally I was going to have that as a refugia. That was the reason I plumbed it in there on a reverse light cycle. I kind of went off the idea of running a refugium. And to be fair, for the first kind of 2 years of having this tank, I was dosing nitrates and phosphates anyway, so running a fusion would be stupid, basically. So I'm going to temporarily plumb that tank up here, because below my skimmer back there, I've teed off and I've got a ball valve which is shut, obviously, and it runs off the pump which runs the skimmer and the UVs. So I can easily plumb that into the tank up here to get the water out of the sump into this pump, and then I'll just run a return line back so I can temporarily sit it here somewhere, and then that frees up that space a bit. With the removing of the return pumps, my plan is I've got a valve which connects my two returns. At the moment, those two pumps, one does one end of the tank, one does the other end of the tank, but those two lines are plumbed in, so I can turn the valve, join them two returns together and run them off with one pump. So it means I can do that and allow me to remove the other pump, and I'm going to remove it from its existing fittings and then extend them so I can move it out of the way from where it sits at the moment, plumb it back in, and then get that to run this tank, and then turn the other one off and remove it completely for now, and then clear that area out, get this sitting in there, and then the big decision I've got to make is whether I run those returns inside the crate or I drill it, put bulkheads in and run them outside. Pros and cons for both. I like having them mounted externally because they're just easy to service. I just shut the two valves and they're clean. So because they're not in water, obviously the outside is completely clean, so they're very easy to just take apart, clean the inside, put back together, done. Also, they don't put any heat in the tank because they're external. I know obviously there is heat as the water passes through, but it's not kind of leaching out from the body of the tank, the pump into the tank water. So if I put them inside the crate, obviously there's a heat issue, probably not massive, but I do spend a lot of time and effort keeping this room cool rather than heating it. So there's that. Yeah, and just cleaning them, they get, when they're running in the water, they just get covered in, sponges and spaghetti worms and spiridids and all that junk that you get in there. The good thing is, I guess, if they're running in the crate and they leak, right, as the seal goes on them, it's just going to leak into the sump and not all over the floor, which is what it would do at the moment. So I haven't decided. I think if it's, and it should be, if the access is easy to get into the crate to get to the pumps, I'll leave them in the pump, in the water, in that crate. If it's going to be difficult, I will plumb them outside. But I quite like the idea because if this crate goes back to the wall, it'll give me another 100 odd mil of space on the floor just to move around. It's quite cramped down there. So I will probably talk myself into putting them inside the crate, to be honest. And the plumbing's easy as well. And I can also run a guard on them because at the moment there's no guard on any part of that system. Obviously the water gets filtered through the sump, but when it gets to the return pump, I've got no strainers or anything. Doesn't seem to have caused a problem so far, but I guess it might be nice to run strainers on them. Then again, is there something else to clean, so maybe I won't. So anyway, so that's where we are with that. So it would also give me some more capacity if I ever add more tanks. I'm right at the limit, really. I mean, like literally on the limit. If I turn the returns off and all the water that goes into the sump, it's scarily close to overflowing. So not really an ideal situation. So another 175 litres will give me some capacity, really. And the other reason is I want to remove the reactors that are in that sump. I've said many times, it's not a big sump, 240 litre sump. It's only 600 deep. I think it's about 400, 450 high and 1500 long, I think it is. So it's not a big sump on the actual capacity of the tank is 2,700 litres, I think. So the system's probably over 3 now. So now I've added the reactors in there, it's difficult to get in and clean it and just do anything in there. So I will take the reactors out. I will either run them in this or I could just run them on a shelf above it so they're not actually in there. Whatever way, I'll see when I get there, but it gets them out of that sump, so it allows me more room. And the other thing I'd quite like to do is in the end of that sump there is a Biz 400, which powers my skimmer and my UVs and the little satellite tank that's down there. I'd like to be able to take that out because it's restricted, because the bulkhead which you get when you buy the sumps built in is 32mm, and the opening on that pump I think is 40mm. It could be bigger because it's a bigger pump, but I think it's 40mm. I think it's 50 in, 40 out. I think it's actually the same size as the 200s. But whatever it is, it's restricted anyway because the bulkhead that comes with the sump is 32, so I had to reduce it. So it comes straight out of that pump and gets reduced to 32, which is not great plumbing. So ideally I will take that out. It's also quite restricted space that it's in as well. Quite a large pump, but I can't get in there really to do a lot. So which means I don't really get to clean it out as much as I should have, and the pump's covered in spaghetti where spiritids and all that, so it needs a good clean. Because it's just awkward, one, the space that's in is awkward, and two, reaching in because it's in the corner. It's one of those things, because it's awkward, I'd never touch it, so it's not been cleaned since it's been in there. So I would like to bring it out, so one, I can just have access to it a lot easier, and two, I can plumb a 40mm outlet on it, so it's not restricted, and then reduce it when I tee off further down the line. So I'll just change the plumbing line that goes to the skimmer. Just make them bigger, basically. So I think that's what I want to do down there. And the reason I want to do that, I want to do that down there, and I want to change that end of the fish room where the skimmer and the calcium reactor sits. That was a kind of temporary setup. So I want to build another T-slot stand, really, with a nice white wipeable surface on there, and put the skimmer and the calcium reactor and just mount them properly and make it a bit tidier, really. And I'd like to do all of that. So once I'm happy with all that, then I can move on to what I really want to be doing, which is setting up this SPS spawning system kind of on this side of the room. So I can just leave this tank to get on, just grow and be happy, and then over here I can turn my attentions to building in a cabinet, blocking the extraneous light, setting up the apex to run it with the the seasonal data and the moonlight and all of that stuff, which is quite interesting, and looking forward to doing it. But I don't want to start that with all of this other stuff hanging around that needs to be doing. So I want to do it sequentially. When it's done, then I've got to think, I've still got loads of jobs to do, basically. So that's the plan. I mean, it's not going to happen quickly because it took 6 months to buy the crate. So that's part of the hobby, though. The enjoyable thing is you've got your own timeline. There's no one cracking a whip going, you've got to get that done. So I'll just take my time. I need to rummage in the shed and see what plumbing parts I got. I might have enough to do it all, and I've definitely got enough to do some of it. So I will see where we end up with that. So that is the plan. So I think tank is all good. Minor changes to the trace elements. Just done a water change. I've done some big water changes. I don't think I mentioned it, did I? So I've actually changed in a week. I think I've done. Let me just tot it up. Yeah, I've done 1,500 litres. Yes, I've done a whopping. That's the biggest water change I've done for. It's probably the biggest water change I've done, actually. Yeah, it probably is in that period of time, obviously, because I've done it in probably 6 days. Yeah, I just felt, because I couldn't really tell what was going on in the tank. He wasn't happy. I wasn't happy with it. I mean, I know the hydrogen sulfide was probably the reason. Man, it's probably been diluted enough anyway now with my auto water change that was going on. But for peace of mind, I just went, let's just do a big old water change, see where we are. And the tank looks happier. So I'll just go back to what I was doing, the 300 litres a week, and hopefully the tank will just settle back in, the corals will grow back, and we'll be back on track. So that's what I'm hoping. Right, I think that's it, guys. I can't think of anything else. What did I do? I did another live stream actually. Did I do one or two? Can't remember. Definitely did one. I did one Sunday morning. Sure, I did two. I don't even remember what the other one was. Anyway, I did one Sunday morning when I talked about the QT process that I used on this tank, and just kind of QT fish disease in general. So that is on TB Coral's channel on YouTube if you want to have a look at that. Right, that's it guys. I am going to go. Have a good week and I will see you in the next one.